I showed him where the files were. I explained the systems, taught him how to speak in meetings, how to read people, how to lead. He said, "You're like a mentor to me." 3 weeks later, I was asked to clear my desk. He didn't say goodbye, and I didn't say a word. But 1 year later, I walked back into that same office. This time, he was the one waiting to be evaluated, and I didn't even look up when I passed his desk. My name's Walter. I'm 57, and I don't believe in revenge. I believe in quiet corrections, the kind life teaches you, if you're patient enough, to outlive the people who underestimate you. I gave this company 18 years. I was never the loudest, never the flashiest, but I showed up, hit my deadlines, held the team together when management fell apart. They said I was solid. Not a star, not a liability, just dependable. And I thought that was enough. But until they hired Kieran, they introduced him like a gift. Meet Kieran. He's going to support your team during this new phase. Young, sharp suit, confident grip. The kind of guy who says, "Sir," but already looks past you. I didn't see it at first. I welcomed him, cleared space in my office, even handed him my personal onboarding guide. 30 pages of how the system really works. He was eager. "I've read about you, Walter. People say you built half of this." I smiled. "Then I guess you've got a solid foundation." He laughed, took notes, asked good questions. Too good. At first, I was flattered. He stayed late, offered help on things no one else touched, shadowed me in client meetings, took over a few with my encouragement. "You've got presence," I told him once. "You'll go far." He smiled. "Only because I've got the best mentor." Then things started shifting. One client I'd worked with for 6 years was suddenly transferred to Kieran's portfolio. He got invited to strategy meetings I wasn't told about. My monthly check-in with the VP got pushed twice. I told myself it was coincidence, until I walked past the HR office late one Thursday and saw Kieran, door closed, shaking hands with someone inside. He didn't see me, but I saw enough. The next morning, I got the email. "Walter, your position is being phased out as we restructure the department. We deeply appreciate your years of service." Severance attached. No meeting, no explanation, just a box and a younger version of me sitting in my old chair. I didn't say a word, just packed up my things, walked out, and left behind everything but my memory. Because what Kieran didn't know is, I had a better skill than training replacements. I build systems, and I never stop watching. I didn't rant online, didn't post bitter quotes, didn't tell friends to boycott the company. I just vanished. People assumed I'd retire, go fishing, start gardening. Walter always was the quiet type. They had no idea what I was doing in that silence. I took a break, 2 weeks. Then I opened a notebook, drew a diagram. The company, its teams, its weak spots, and in the center, Kieran. I didn't need revenge. I needed leverage. You see, while he was learning how to manage clients, I had spent 18 years learning why those clients stayed. Names, triggers, buying patterns, unspoken loyalties. Stuff no CRM ever captures. And I kept everything. I made calls, not to complain, but to connect. Asked a few clients how things were going. Some told me they missed the old way. One said, "Kieran's fine, but it feels different now." I just listened and noted every word. Then came the spark. A former colleague, now working at a consultancy firm, called me. "We've got a contract to help your old company optimize operations. Want in as a strategic advisor? I didn't hesitate. Absolutely. Let's do it clean. 3 months later, I walked back into the same office building. Different badge, different suit, same calm silence. And as I stepped into the boardroom, I saw him, Kieran, face pale, and the first time, he was the one taking notes. The boardroom was colder than I remembered. New chairs, new art, same tension. Kieran stood near the screen, mid-presentation. Flowcharts, buzzwords, digital strategies. The execs looked unimpressed. They nodded politely, asked no questions. He finished, sat, and then the director turned to me. "Walter, your thoughts?" Kieran blinked, like he'd just seen a ghost. I stood, clicked my pen, walked to the whiteboard, and rewrote everything. Not with flair, not to impress. I just pointed at what wasn't working. The account churn no one noticed. The misalignment between marketing and sales, the quiet dissatisfaction of legacy clients, things Kieran couldn't see, because he'd never lived them. After the meeting, people came up to shake my hand. Old colleagues, even people I barely spoke to before. "Glad to see you back, Walter. Wish you'd never left." Kieran walked past me in the hallway, didn't say a word, but I saw his shoulders, heavier than last year, because now he was carrying the weight of a job he never understood. I never asked for my position back, never submitted a request, never hinted at anything. I just showed up, consulted, solved problems, fixed what he couldn't name, and the room shifted. Not suddenly, but steadily. Kieran stopped being the point of contact. I started getting CC'd on everything, then BCC'd on things he didn't see. One day, the VP pulled me aside. "We'd like you to step in full-time again, more than just advising." I smiled. "In what role?" He smiled back. "Yours. The one we forgot only you could do." 2 weeks later, Kieran resigned. No press release, no cake, just a LinkedIn update. Exploring new opportunities. He didn't say goodbye, didn't even clear out his desk himself. He sent an intern. People asked me if I felt vindicated. I said nothing, because it wasn't about feeling better than him. It was about being who I've always been, and letting time do the talking. They handed me back my title, my office, my team. But I didn't sit in that same chair. I brought in new people, mentored carefully, watched for ego, not just talent. I rewrote onboarding, redesigned succession planning, built a culture that didn't reward charm over character. I didn't just replace Kieran. I replaced the system that thought I was replaceable. And that's the real win. Not the office, not the paycheck, but the quiet knowledge that the next Walter won't get pushed out for being consistent. Sometimes I still hear his name. Someone mentions him in passing. Whatever happened to that guy? I just smile. Because what happened to him is exactly what happens to people who mistake polish for wisdom. And what happened to me? I stayed and made the system smarter than them all. I didn't take a victory lap. I took responsibility. The office hadn't just lost structure. It had lost its center. People were burnt out, disconnected, chasing metrics, not meaning. So I started listening. One-on-ones, anonymous surveys, late-night emails from people who used to be invisible. I didn't promise anything loud. I just delivered things quietly. Got budgets reapproved, cleared 3 toxic managers, restructured workflows to protect weekends, gave credit where it was overdue. Morale didn't rise overnight, but people started smiling in hallways again. One junior staffer told me, "I almost quit last year. Now I stay late because I care, not because I'm scared. I didn't need a trophy. That sentence was enough. Kieran, he popped up once, at a conference. I saw him across the room. He nodded. I nodded back. No tension, just distance. He moved on. So did I. But the difference? I took something with me. I used to be just Walter from operations. Now, new hires mention me on their first week. They said I should pay attention to how you run meetings. Is it true you rebuilt the system after they let you go? I just smile, because legends don't need to be loud. They need to be useful. Once, I heard two interns whispering in the break room. He's the one who came back, right? Yeah, replace the guy who replaced him. Damn, that's cold. They looked at me mid-conversation. I nodded, just warm enough to work. They laughed, awkwardly, but I saw it. Respect. Not because I demanded it, but because I earned it back without asking. Sometimes the executives still call me advisor, but I know what I am now. The compass, the anchor, the quiet rule carved into the structure. Not because I wanted revenge, but because I refused to vanish. It's strange, sitting across the table where your career once ended. Same polished surface, same sterile air. But now, I'm on the other side, reviewing performance reports, interviewing candidates, occasionally signing termination letters. One day, I was asked to assess a junior manager. Young, sharp, reminded me of someone. He was burning out his team, overpromising, under-delivering, playing the same fast game I once watched crash and burn. Some wanted to cut him loose immediately. I said, "Let me speak to him." We sat for 40 minutes. No script, no threat, just silence, questions, and one story. Mine. I told him about the kid I trained, the chair I gave up, the long way back. He didn't blink the whole time. When I finished, I said, "I'm not letting you go, but I am giving you a decision." He chose to stay, chose to rebuild. 3 months later, he was leading smarter, slower, stronger. That's the difference between taking power and owning it. One punishes, the other builds what lasts. They thought I'd disappear, that I'd take the severance, the silence, and just fade. But I stayed. And because I stayed, the company changed. Not overnight, not dramatically, but permanently. Now when someone's promoted, they get a copy of the new mentorship guide. Page 1 starts with a quote, not mine, my father's. Teach without ego, step aside without fear, and never mistake a title for worth. It's handwritten, photocopied from a note I kept in my desk for 25 years. People ask me when I'm retiring. I say, when I meet someone who'll replace me right. Not quickly, not quietly, but correctly. Because I don't want someone to go through what I did. I want them to go further than I ever could, with my shoulders beneath them, not my shadow over them. That's the real victory. Not the return, not the revenge, but the fact that now, when someone whispers, "Don't end up like Walter," they mean, "Don't underestimate the